Hi everyone, I hope you're well. I'm just doing this video as a summary of this Sunday's sermon, which I titled, We Need God. The older I get and the more I think about it, the more I just have one goal. I just want to know God. With COVID-19 and lockdown and all the things that have happened recently, I can see that nothing is as solid as I thought it was. So many of the things that I put my trust in have changed overnight. When I look to people to explain to me what's going on, all I hear are opinions, and those opinions change by the day as well. But God doesn't change. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. He knows what's going on, and He wants to guide me through this crazy life. So during lockdown, I decided that I'm going to learn to listen to Him and do what He says. And I'm going to try and do that in every area of my life. Now, that was easier to do during lockdown because I had time. But I'm quite shocked at how easy it's been for me to slip back into normal. For example, when we were in level 2 and we came to church, because of social distancing, what we did was we got people to pick a seat. As they came in, they picked up a seat and they put it wherever they wanted in the hall. And do you know where I put my seat? I put my seat exactly where it would have been if they were set out as normal. Exactly the same place. How sad is that? You know, I think this represents where we are as a church. We've been given a glimpse of what God wants for us. We know that being a Christian isn't about going to church. It's not about this building, where we sit and what we do here. It's not even about what we do for God, because that can change. It's about knowing Him. So I refuse to go back to normal. I refuse to settle for the way things were before. I have to know Him. For a lot of my Christian walk, I've been trying to follow a formula, but what I really need is a relationship. I'm beginning to learn that more and more that it's not in following the rules that I'm transformed. It's in knowing the teacher. I've been reading this book called The Big Fisherman. It's a novel about the Apostle Peter and how his life changed when he met Jesus. In it, Peter is initially skeptical when he hears about Jesus performing miracles. So he goes to check him out and he expects to find that he's a fraud. But he sees Jesus perform a miracle by apparently healing a boy's foot. And he goes to see the boy and talk to his father, who's called Justus, to find out if it's real. And they have this conversation where they look at his foot, they look at the boy's foot and they think, oh yeah, it looks a bit straighter, but it still hurts for him to walk on. You know, maybe that's just because he's never used it before. And Peter, who's still called Simon at this stage, says, I wish I knew about the boy's foot. What do you think, Justus? Has it been healed or hasn't it? I don't know, mumbled Justus. Maybe it's too early to tell. I only hope so. Yes, so do I, Justus. It would be a great blessing to the child. At that, Justus turned to face Simon with a sober stare. Do you honestly hope that? Of course, declared Simon. What a question. Who could wish it otherwise? Because, muttered Justus, if this village carpenter can change the laws of nature, nothing will ever be the same again. Not for any of us. Do you realize that, Simon? Nothing you ever thought about anything will be true. Not anymore. Ever. I love this because for Peter, his life never was the same. The course of his life was forever changed because he met Christ. After seeing what Jesus could do, Peter gave up everything and followed him. He hung on his every word. Now, I want to be like that. I guess what I'm saying is I want to be not just a believer, I want to be a disciple. I don't want God to just change my life. I want to be part of his plan for changing the world. When I look at the world, I see a lot of things that aren't right. I share the anger and frustration of people who are protesting against things like injustice and racism. We need to change structures and systems that are unjust. And I really admire people who are willing to put themselves in harm's way to fight injustice. And at the same time, I recognize that it's not just systems that need to be remade, but me personally. I'm part of the problem. I need to be transformed. So the anger and frustration that I'm feeling is driving me closer to the one who has the power to transform my life and the lives of people around me. James 2:1-4 says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." I've been thinking about this verse for a while now, and it's changed the way I look at life. I don't see the trials I go through as random trouble anymore, but as things that God will use to make me stronger. But I know God's plan isn't just for me. His plan is for the world. 2 Chronicles 7:14 says, "If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sin and will heal their land." Now, this was God speaking to the nation of Israel, but I believe it applies to us today. If we Christians, called by the name of Christ, will humble ourselves and pray and seek God's face and turn from our wicked ways, He will hear from heaven, He will forgive our sin, and He will heal our land. We live in a land that desperately needs healing. So get in the game. Knowing God is the answer. Don't go back to normal. Chase after Him. Turn to Him. Seek Him. Learn to listen to Him and do what He says. Like Peter, let's give up what we have and follow Him and see where He takes us.